A friendly intercity rivalry between the cities of Ottawa and Montreal entered the spacious confines of TD Place for this American Ultimate Disc League game between the Ottawa Outlaws and the visiting Montreal Royale. Hello everyone and welcome once again inside TD Place. My name is Mike Nellis. Alongside me is Steve Traynor, and Dan Mooney will be joining us for the call of this game in just a couple of moments. But first, let's tee things up this evening and take a look at the standings for the AUDL's East Division, the division that both of these two teams for this game will be playing in all season long. And you can see, Steve, the Montreal Royale and the Outlaws right now at the bottom looking at the top, but they're looking to change that.
Not a great start from Montreal. Last year they were in the playoffs. They had a bit of a tough start, but they won their last game. On the Ottawa side, the home team has lost 3 games on the road. They're looking to come back to the friendly confines of TD Place and win their first game of the season. And as we see at the top, the other Canadian team, the Toronto Rush, well out in front with a great start.
Yeah, the perennial powerhouse Toronto Rush moving to the Western Division. Quickly, Steve, the San Francisco Flamethrowers off to a good start.
The Flamethrowers are on fire. They're doing a great job this year, a 5-0 start, great plus-minus. If we look at the Canadian content here, we've got the Vancouver Riptide, who have a much bolstered offense and roster this year. They're at 1-1 and expect good things from them.
We talked about the Canadian content. Now moving to the Midwest Division, where there actually isn't any Canadian content, but there is one that is close to the border in Madison, the Madison Radicals. They are leading the division, hosting the league final later this year in the AUDL, and they're positioning themselves well to actually qualify for that league final. Currently 3-0, undefeated on the year, the only team in the Midwest Division that is undefeated. And moving on to the Southern Division for the final look at the division standings, the Dallas Roughnecks look at the point differential, Steve, 56 on the good side for the 5-0 Roughnecks.
Incredible start for the Dallas team. As you know, they added a lot of star players in the offseason from across America. They're off to a great start. Unfortunately, last week they suffered a major injury to the star player Bo Kittredge, which will affect Team USA at the World Championships and Dallas as the season goes along.
We are going to tee this game up now, Steve, and take a look at some things to expect. We saw that the Outlaws currently do not have a win this year. The Royale just got their first one recently in their last game. What do you expect to see from both these teams tonight?
Well, they haven't got off to a great start, but that's because the quality of competition has been very good in their first couple of games. What you can expect from Ottawa is they have a tremendous amount of talent, and they're playing in front of their home fans, and they expect that talent to be more efficient tonight and to cut down on the turnovers that they've shown in the first 3 games. On the Montreal side, they're always a great team. They're looking to continue their hot streak from last week, and they will play an effective offense and use some of their star players like Yolande Colbeau, Lepagnol, and Jean-Lévis Champagne.
You just mentioned Antoine Lepagnol. He is the player to watch for this game for the Montreal Royale as we take a look at him on your screen right now with a very good offensive start.
Lepagnol is off to an amazing offensive start this year. In 3 games, he has 9 goals, 11 assists. He's been a fixture on the offense for the team. He's a native of France, but he will be representing Canada at the World Championships in London this year.
And moving to Ottawa now, more of a defensive start. That it has a good offensive start to this season is Keelan Way.
That's right. Keelan Way has been an excellent player for a long time in the Ottawa community. He's an excellent cutter and receiver on offense, but on defense he's been quite strong this year. He's had 4 takeaways, which leads the team after 3 games.
And we will look for him and the Ottawa Outlaws to turn out a good performance here at their home opener at the Bank on Bank TD Place. We return after this with opening remarks and the opening poll for this AUDL game here on Rogers TV. Stay tuned.
Welcome back to TD Place for the home opener for the Ottawa Outlaws in the American Ultimate Disc League against the Montreal Royale. Dan Mooney alongside Steve Traynor with Mike Nellis at field level. And Ottawa really has something to prove tonight, Steve. Last year in their inaugural season in the AUDL, Ottawa defeated Montreal 3 different times.
That's right. They defeated a playoff team, the Montreal Royale, 3 different times, and they look to stay unbeaten against Montreal with their home opener here with all their fans that have come to beautiful TD Place Stadium to check out the action tonight. An exciting day for Ultimate in Ottawa.
And a perfect evening for it. A reasonably brisk wind that's going across the field, which may play havoc, but what is going to be more difficult for the players to deal with, Steve, is the setting sun in the west end of TD Place.
That's right. So it's a disadvantage to those that coming in the opposite direction. Look for the teams to, with lots of experience playing with the sun in their face, to find ways to pass and throw around that.
Montreal will get the opening pull away, and number 17, Antoine Genet, gets it down the field. And the disc picked up by number 9, Derek Alexander. Over for Kinley G, wearing number 98, normally wearing number 55 for the Outlaws, but he forgot his jersey tonight, so he's wearing number 98. There's number 10, Ken Alexander, one of the brother combinations here for the Ottawa Outlaws. Mike Lee moves the disc down inside. Here's Derek Alexander. Alexander looking to get rid of it. He's only got 7 seconds to get rid of it. Here's Kinley G. In for Alexander. He's on the line. There's the goal. The first one of the game. And it's 1-0. And the player to watch, Keelan Way, the man to score first.
True to form, Keelan Way, the player to watch, as we talked about in the opener, and he had a great shift out there. The entire Outlaws team really moved the disc well. There was disc movement. All 7 players moved that disc around. Had some great work by Derek Alexander. So here's we have a pass by Kinley G. Derek Alexander toes the line and makes a nice, easy pass to a great cut from Keelan Way. Good way to start the game. Good way to start the home opener.
Great way to start. That's the kind of offense that the head coach of the Ottawa Outlaws, John Haig, really wants. It's great to start off scoring with your first disc possession.
Absolutely, and if you look at the 3 games on the road, they had over 80 turns as a team, 80 turnovers, and there was no turnover on that point. They're looking to cut down on those turnovers. It's key to winning Ultimate.
Ottawa's first pull in Montreal on the offense. Nicolas Brochu, and a little infraction there, so they'll move it up the field 10 yards. Here's Brochu. Brochu sends that one inside. Montreal on the attack. It's number 81, Kevin Quinlan. He moves that out. Montreal looking for the quick hit, and a big score there. Jean-Philippe Riopel makes it 1 apiece on a great feed from Yolande Cabot, the captain of the Royale.
Excellent play there from Cabot to Riopel. Riopel actually runs his own fitness company, and he was putting on a clinic there on that play. Here we see on this play the pass to the outside. Cabot makes a nice pass on the break side, and Riopel makes a great grab. Great defensive effort by the Outlaws, which can't cover both sides of the field.
1 apiece now. Ottawa scoring at the 42nd mark of the opening quarter. 12-minute stop time quarters here in the AUDL, and Montreal tying it up at the 106 mark. It was Quinlan from Cabot. And Montreal's pull once again. Olivier Saint-Denis sends it down the field. The Outlaws starting it up, and Derek Alexander has it. Moves it up the pitch for number 6, Keelan Way. He's got the only point of the match so far. G heads it down the pitch for the long bomb, and the huck works. Carl Loiseau, the Birdman, gives the Outlaws a 2-1 lead.
Outstanding play by Carl Loiseau to come up with that disc. Cannot wait to see it on the replay here. Here we have Kinley G, who makes the pass. Great defense by the Royale, but Carl has a great angle and catches that disc. Kinley looking upfield, tries to put some mustard on it, hung up there a little bit. Montreal thinks they might get the D, but Carl is a savvy receiver, and he saves the day.
Ottawa just took 15 seconds off that pull after Montreal scored to regain that 1-point advantage.
Absolutely clinical on that play, and it's a great to see Ottawa come off to such a great start here in the home opener. 2 very quick points, no turnovers, great offensive execution.
Andy Corey with the pull. Montreal has it about 7 or 8 yards outside of their own goal line. Number 49, Félix-Antoine Daigle, moves that one up for Antoine Lepagnol. He's our player to watch for Montreal. 9 goals already this season and 11 assists to go along. And a 7-second delay. You have to move quick in the first turnover of the game as well.
That's right. Excellent defense by Ottawa on that play.
Ottawa on the offense. Picked up there by number 13, Andy Corey. Corey being marked very closely by Genet. Goes out to the far side for Alex Arsenault. Arsenault deep. Another big pull there.
Okay.
Great grab by Nick Boucher. 3-1 Ottawa.
Excellent play. Nice grab by Nick Boucher. Now that line for Ottawa was out there to play defense, and whenever they got the turn, they were able to connect on offense, and what a great grab in the air. A lot of contested throws right now on the deep throws from Ottawa, but the receivers are saving the day. Loiseau on the first time and Boucher on the second.
Ottawa taking advantage of a Montreal turnover. That is going to be crucial. Turnovers really dictate the outcome of things, especially in the late going.
And what you see early in the game is usually the offense, because they're fresh and they're running hard, they're able to come up with those great grabs. But as the game goes along, unless the throws tighten up a little bit and get a little bit more efficient, then the D starts to pounce and starts to get the Ds. So hopefully John Hegg is on the sideline there working with his team, saying, guys, we're off to a great start, keep it up, but let's tighten it up just a bit more.
Montreal starting out Brochu. Moves that up for Antoine Genet. Genet. And another turnover. Ottawa will take over. Nick Boucher responsible for the turnover and a foul called against Montreal. Ottawa looking to widen the gap, leading by 2. Into the end zone, laying out, great catch by Boucher!
Oh, what a shift by Nick the Quick Boucher. What a job. 2 points in a row here. Here we see the pass out. Great layout, great grab. Fantastic work there. We have a chance to see the defensive play earlier. He made the layout D that ended up getting the opportunity for Ottawa on offense. And this just comes right after his great grab in the end zone transition on the last point. He's off to a great start right now. Here we see
just the tail end of that replay again. Nick Boucher scoring the last 2 points for the Ottawa Outlaws.
Just a nice way to start the game for Ottawa. You know, they're probably feeling the pinch of starting off 0-3 on the road. This is a very, very good start. 4-1 start, big 3-point lead. They got to keep it up as they move on in this game.
Disc goes out. Montreal will take over with great field position here, just on their side of midfield. They'll squirt in there. Great layout there to keep it alive by number 49, Félix-Antoine Daigle. All the way back for Olivier Saint-Denis. Saint-Denis finds Daigle. Montreal being forced back by good pursuing Ottawa defense. Mathieu. Long den. Great defense there. Matthew Berg with the turnover, and Ottawa takes possession of the disc once again.
Matthew Berg, do not be fooled by his size. He may not be 6'4", but he's excellent in the air, and he's excellent on defense on long throws.
Andy Corey plays that back. Matthew Hogle all the way outside to the far side for Alec Arsenault. Arsenault back inside. Couple of men on Mike Lee. Lee sends that out, and a great layout there by Andy Corey to keep the disc alive for Ottawa. Another great catch there, Colin Froats laying out. And a foul against Montreal. I believe it's against number 17, Antoine Genet.
And when we look at the spotlight and the key players today, they've all stepped up so far. Alexander Loiseau, G, Cabot, Genet, and Ferrero as well.
Oh, there's an easy catch for Jordan McGregor. 5-1 Ottawa.
The action is lightning fast here. We can't even get a highlight on who to watch because they're so busy making plays out in the field, especially on the Ottawa side. Great grab by Colin Frost earlier in the game, in the point there, and then the pass is made into the end zone, and a great job by the Queen's University student and star player Jordan McGregor, who just won a university national championship this fall.
Ottawa in control early, but 12-minute quarters were only 4 minutes and a second into this one, and Ottawa can't sit on this. They've got to keep their foot on the gas pedal.
It's the beauty of the pro game. The game moves very, very fast. You can't kill time. The time stops in between the points. So they got to keep piling up the points because they are going to play to time, not to score.
Montreal, Genet, all by himself, goes into the middle for Kevin Quinlan, who's got the only point for Montreal at this juncture in the first quarter. Quinlan, the forehand, finds his man, and an infringement against Ottawa, contact, and Antoine Lepagnol will hang on to the disc and start, and the infraction going against Keelan Way.
Keelan Way, no stranger to physical defense, and he's trying to neutralize Lepagnol, who's a player to watch for this game.
Sorry, forgive me, it was Laurent Loiseau. One of two brother combinations on this Ottawa Outlaw side, and there's a completed pass right to Reynold Namour, and Namour goes into the end zone and finds Yolande Cabot, and it makes it 5-2 Ottawa.
Excellent disc movement by the Royale after that foul call. Cabot in the end zone, that's where he breads his butter, or butters his bread, and where he makes things happen in terms of offensive production. He's very good in the air, and he's very good at making nice cuts in the end zone. He did that right there.
And a timeout called as the teams change up, and fitness so important at the professional level of Ultimate, and you know these guys are ready to go 48 full minutes.
That's right, they have to be. And I mean, they were here hours in advance warming up for this. They're ready. They're used to playing 8 games a weekend in the at the national level, so they are ready to play one game, and they're amped up to play as hard as they can for as long as they can.
Derek Alexander for Mike Lee. Lee back to Alexander. Alexander with Christian Mathieu right on him. Pass there complete to Paul Renaud. Renaud for Mike Lee. Lee inside, and there's a turnover and a potential injury, and I believe it's number 95, Jeremy Hill, going down, and he's getting some assistance from the training staff. And on this field turf, footwear is so important, and it looks like Jeremy Hill might be wearing a cleat that may not necessarily be conducive to this style of turf.
I'm not quite sure. I mean, he definitely has some bright green cleats, but I am concerned for him. He definitely, no one likes to see anyone go down with anything any injuries happening to the leg on turf. And if he is out for an extended period of time in this game or for the season, it'll be a huge loss. He just is a very effective cutter and offensive player. He's very creative, and he's been one of the brighter spots on the team during the first 3 games this season. So hope for the best for Jeremy, and he's able to shake it off.
Well, he's really guarding that left leg. Injury coming in the 5:26 mark of the opening quarter. And more importantly for the Montreal Royale, they've got possession of the disc, trailing 5-2.
As we can see here, the double teams are allowed in the professional league.
Renaud right there, but good grab there by Andre Arsenault, and the long huck goes down, and Montreal looking for a call in their favor. That's Jean-Lévis Champagne. the assistant coach. All the way back into the Ottawa zone, Carl Loiseau for Derek Alexander. Alexander to the far side. Mike Lee. Keelan Way. Way finds Paul Renaud. And the infraction marked all the way back about 10 yards out from the Ottawa goal line. They'll march it up from that point.
Paul Renaud is a newer player on the scene for Ottawa. He's definitely has seen a lot of play time this year. He's got some good physical skills, and they look to be getting it to the disc to him as much as they possibly can.
Great cut by Renaud to find the open space, gets it, and a bobble there by Kinley G, but he was able to hang on. Back inside, it's Mike Lee for Ottawa. Lee for Derek Alexander. Alexander looks, moves it out for Renaud. Renaud for Mike Lee. All kinds of movement. Everybody on the Outlaws moving around. Ken Alexander now looking deep for Renaud in the end zone. He's got it.
What a great throw by Ken Alexander, putting it out to space. It hung up there with the winds. There is some wind on the field, but it didn't matter because Renaud was wide open and it was put in a good position so he could run underneath it without having to wait for it. Just a nice throw by Ken Alexander there and a good run by Paul Renaud. Not sure where the defense was on that play, and I feel as though that was a critical play there because it seemed like Montreal was on a bit of a run, and this game in the professional level is a game of runs. A couple of breaks here, a couple of breaks there, and so Ottawa needs to keep going and playing the way that they have. They got a little sloppy there for 1 or 2 points. If they can get back to what they were doing on the first 6 points, it's very exciting. It's going to be an exciting night for all the fans that have come here. Over 800 in attendance tonight.
The pull by the Outlaws goes into touch, and Montreal will start this possession with pretty decent field position. They're marking it out right at midfield. That's a pretty generous spot.
It's a generous spot. That's where it went out, and unfortunately, pulling the disc out of bounds, especially that early in the pull, is a huge disadvantage for the Outlaws. Let's see if they can clamp down some hard defense and get the turn for the next 7 seconds.
Nicolas Brochu will start off this possession for Montreal. Moves it out for Félix-Antoine Daigle. Daigle inside. Nice pass, and into the end zone. Almost a great defensive play, but a tremendous grab by number 81, Kevin Quinlan, for his second goal of the game.
A little bit of sauce on that celebration after the goal. A nice grab here on a contested D. Just a nice little flip of the disc after the score. It's a good throw out to space, but both teams are letting the other teams know that if you're going to let that disc float out there, unless it's a perfect pass into the end zone, it is going to be defended harshly. This is professional ultimate, and everybody that's out there is ready to run and ready to D any disc that's thrown.
6-3, Ottawa ahead, 4:38 remaining in the opening quarter. In this, the home opener for the Ottawa Outlaws in the 2016 American Ultimate Disc League season.
Very nice pull on that play, over 80-yard pull on that play.
Kinley G for Derek Alexander. Alexander looking for Carl Loiseau. He finds him. Loiseau moves that down. Mike Lee for Renaud. Back to Lee, back to Renaud. Renaud forced to go left. Picked up there nicely by Keelan Way. Keelan Way for Mike Lee, for Derek Alexander, to Ken Alexander. Alexander into the end zone for Lee, can't catch up to it.
Unfortunate there for Mike Lee. He has been very, very impressive the past few years playing for the Outlaws. Just kind of a glue player that makes plays happen. Unfortunately, he couldn't come down with that, but that was a nice throw to space by Derek Alexander. Good vision on that play.
Montreal gains the turnover, and they move it up. Félix-Antoine Daigle on the double team. Moves that out for Nick Brochu. Brochu inside. David Ferraro. Ferraro moves that back outside for Antoine Genet. The long huck, And it's good into the hands of Yolan Kabot for his second goal of this first quarter, and Montreal gets back within 2.
Just as scripted, Yolan Kabot being a force in the end zone. Doesn't seem like a particularly tall, deep receiver, but like Matt Berg of the Outlaws, he's one of those guys that's very fast and very talented and plays the angles extremely well. And let's give him some credit here. This is just a good run and a good catch against the rookie Kinley G, who's normally out there for offensive opportunities, and when there was a turnover, it's a panicky feeling for a mostly offensive player, because then you've got to step up your intensity on defense. Kinley does a very good job of that. He's actually going to be representing Canada at the World Juniors this year, Ottawa's only representative on the team. So I think next time he'll learn from that against the savvy Cabot, and he'll be able to defend him a little bit better.
Montreal ready with the pull. Jean-Lévis Champagne with a rolling pull, stopped by Kieran Way. Kinley G for number 13, Andy Corey. Corey moves that up for Matthew Berg. Berg back for Corey. Corey back inside Kieran Way with a great lunge to keep the disc alive. Here's Way, sends that into space. Can Alexander get it? Yes, he can. Great speed by the veteran to catch up with that one into space. Kinley G moves it out for Kieran Way. Way into the end zone looking for Westfall! No! Couldn't come up with it.
Unfortunate. Great effort by Westwell, and just a good game of catch between the Outlaws in the backfield here, and put it up to space. Kind of died off at the last second, and Westwell wasn't able to come out with it. Longtime veteran and captain Scott Westwell, longtime a member of the Ottawa Ultimate community, just an all-around good guy, not able to come up with that one.
So a timeout called by Montreal.
Montreal senses the fact that this game is within grasp right now, and they want to take advantage of that opportunity. So they want to call the timeout. They know that their defensive players are out there on the field. They are very capable of scoring, but we want to look at team leaders here. We've got for the Outlaws, we've got Carl Loiseau going in 3 games, 5 goals, assists for Derek Alexander. We've got 7 assists for him, and defensive turnovers created, or Ds as we like to call it in the industry. Keelan Way's got 4. He, obviously, your team leader, you'd like to see more after 3 games, but he leads the way right now.
After a great start, Steve, the Ottawa Outlaws their pace has slowed a little here as we've moved on into the latter stages of this opening quarter.
That's right, and what they have to do here is, I've really liked the way that they've moved the disc around on offense. There has been some turnovers, but if they can tighten it up and do what they've been doing well, like you saw in that last play there, Keelan Way is doing what Keelan Way does best. He gets open downfield, he gets a chunk of yards. Derek does what he does, he runs out to space. Can't be covered if you throw it, give them a chance to catch it into space. So just keep using your players for what they're best at, and they can grab control of this game again. On the Montreal side, they just want to keep doing what they've been doing the last few points, using their veteran leaders to move the disc.
Long huck to midfield, complete there to Kevin Quinlan. Now Quinlan looking deep for Reynald Namur. He's got it! Montreal back within 1.
Say no more, Nemours. That was an excellent play there. Obviously, Ottawa wanted to stop the underneath. They wanted to play really aggressive defense. They got caught, and then it was off to the races with some very quick passes and a nice backhand pass here out to space. That's the way it's done. Good run by Nemours and a nice catch over his head, despite the fact that he would have been looking into the sun on that catch. So kudos to him for that grab.
And a great huck, too, because the disc just sort of floated down into the hands of Namur as he was down into the back of the end zone by the time he made the catch.
That's right. And I mean, what you like to see is a great spin like that. The right amount of hang time, not too much, because the longer you have to wait for it to come down, the quicker, the more time that the defense has to catch up to you on that. Fortunately, that was a good throw and a good grab, and they're back into this game, 6-5.
Kinley G for Kieran Way. Kinley G plays catch. Out for Loiseau. Loiseau goes deep for Derek Alexander. He's got it. Now he's got to wait for some support. Ken Alexander with the disc. Alexander moves it back for Paul Renaud. Renaud Out for Kieran Way. Kieran Way to the outside. Oh, Alexander bobbled it and then caught it. Got it back to Mike Lee. Lee about 15 yards out, forced back. Alexander for Lee. Lee all the way to the far side for Ken Alexander. Looking for somebody to move and open in the end zone. Kieran Way with the point.
Excellent work here. Kieran Way scoring in the end zone, living up to expectations here. Great play, great point by Ottawa on the play. And they really calmed things down on offense here. They put a great line of 7 players that can throw the disc around, and it was a great throw out to space. Nice catch by Keelan. Montreal played some hard defense there, but they did give Ottawa some opportunities, and that was Ottawa was able to expose them on that play and make the catch wide open in the end zone.
Keelan Way's second of the evening and third of the season gives Ottawa a 7-5 lead with 1:34 left to go here in the opening quarter of this AUDL home opener for the Ottawa Outlaws at TD Place. Dan Mooney, Steve Traynor, Mike Nellis, and our entire Rogers TV crew, so happy to have you along for the ride.
Some tough times with that pull there. It got caught in the sun. They just let it drop and they play it, but it's at a disadvantage as it's far in their end zone.
Double team on. Brochu forced to turn it over. Now Ottawa looking to capitalize. Andy Corey into the end zone for the point. And Scott Westwell, the veteran, gets on the board. And it's a 3-point advantage for the Outlaws.
Looks like Alec Arsenault had a fantastic defensive play on that. Like I said, when the turnover was made, it created a lot of problems in terms of the offense for Montreal, having to reset from deep in the end zone. Alec Arsenault with the turn on a contested throw, and then Scott Westwell was able to quickly get on the board. That's going to feel really good for him, and hopefully it'll be a sign of things to come moving forward for the rest of this game.
Ottawa up 8-5, and with a point differential of -33 coming into this one, Steve, Ottawa's really got to get their offense going.
Here's a sign of the turnover. There's a double team, forced throws, getting up on the stall count, and boom, Alec Arsenault comes through with that D. Great play, and then the scramble is on. Montreal did not have a chance to get their offense back, their defense back in order to stop the goal.
Long huck once again down there. Great D by number 16, Laurent Loiseau.
The other Loiseau, great play defensively there. Fantastic against Cabot.
Nick Boucher inside his own end zone and a timeout called. And this will allow both sides to get some fresh bodies out there, and Montreal a little deflated after getting a little bit of their momentum back earlier.
So that D was actually on David Ferrero, who we identified as one of the players who we should be looking at today. He leads the team in defensive takeaways. He was on offense there and streaking deep, looking to get started, but just an excellent defensive play by Loiseau on that play. Game of ebbs and flows, guys. 6-5 at one point. Now it's 8-5. Both teams are trying to search for that consistency in order to put some distance between one another. And here we see Oak Canada. All the players that are playing today, not only are they professionals, but they represent their country at the international levels. Ottawa has Derek Alexander, Carl Loiseau, Andy Ochterlony, Keelan Way, Kinley G, Colin Green, David Jansen, Matt Hogle, and Ken Alexander, who is an alternate, playing on any one of the 4 national teams that are going to London this year. On the Montreal side, we have some excellent players: Yolan Cabot, Christian Mathieu, who's celebrating his 36th birthday tomorrow, Dan, and Antoine Lepagnol, who will be representing Canada at the World Championships. Happens every 4 years. Really big event, sort of the marquee event in the calendar for amateur ultimate internationally.
Ottawa with possession of the disc once again. Here's Andy Corey. Moves inside for Derek Alexander. Alexander running out of time, finally able to dish off for Keelan Way. Way out to the outside for Corey. Andy Corey for G. Kinley G moves it outside for Corey. Corey being marked Gets rid of it. Alexander, Derek Alexander with it. Alexander looking into the end zone, and a great defensive play there by number 18 for Montreal, David Ferraro. You talked about his defensive prowess, and there's a perfect example.
He did not let it get Indeed on that last play, so he does it to someone else on that play, and he poached the lane in there and made a great defensive play. Derek, as the veteran player, has to see that, and they were moving it down the sideline, but here's a turnover for Ottawa.
Big turnover, Keelan Way. Way into the end zone. It's a floater, but it's pulled down by Andy Corey, and Ottawa leads it 9-5 with 6 seconds left to go in the quarter.
Great grab by Andy Corey on this play. Up, nice work, way to position himself. Looks like there's some negative body language right now there for the Royale. That's not really their style. They're an extremely tight-knit team, excellent veteran players. So that happens on a point-to-point basis, but expect the brain trust and leadership of the Royale, whether it be the coaches or the veteran players, to kind of rein that in and say, guys, only way that we're going to get through this and get back into this game is together. Let's get focused on what we're going to do on the offensive point here.
Ottawa's largest lead was 5-1 going into this one. Now they've restored that 4-point advantage, and time is going to run out here on the opening quarter. So
looks like we're going to try and play a little bit before it gets buzzed down here, but it's been quite the first half here in the home opener, and beautiful TD plays. And there it is. There's the call.
And stopped by Paul Renault with the D to end the opening quarter, with Ottawa leading 9-5. They're in good shape as they look to get a victory here in their home opener from TD Place. Don't go anywhere, folks. More American Ultimate Disc League action only on Rogers TV coming up. Back to TD Place. The Ottawa Outlaws lead the Montreal Royale 9-5 at the end of the first quarter. Second quarter action just about to get underway, but Steve Traynor, all kinds of highlights in that first quarter.
All kinds of highlights. Great throws, great hucks, great bids. And we see some nice passes out to space. Keelan Way with the quick first point of the game. Montreal also had some great plays, really moving the disc on the break side consistently. Kinley G with a big throw there, and Carl Loiseau with a big play. And both teams were able to use the huck game, and that's a beautiful thing to watch. So you can see the 800 to 1,000 fans out here are really excited about those kinds of plays. And here's a big throw from Ken Alexander out to space. There was no shortage of highlight reel plays in that half, and I wouldn't expect anything different in the second quarter.
Play underway here in the second quarter. Little drip out there for Cabot. Cabot with the long huck, looking for Quinlan! He's bumped! and it's a turnover. A great D there, but the call is going against Ottawa. Nick Boucher with a bit of a bump inside the end zone on Quinlan, which will result in Montreal getting the disc, much to the chagrin of the fans, the Ottawa faithful here at TD Place.
That was exciting to hear all the fans voice their displeasure on that. That was definitely a tough call, a tough decision for the refs. They may have got it right on that, but the Ottawa fans did not like it.
Montreal opens the scoring with a little flip to Antoine Lepagnol, his first of this game, but his 10th goal of the season for Montreal. And the Royale don't waste any time getting back within 3.
Montreal has this juggernaut of experienced players that are just extremely efficient with the disc. And when you couple that with upcoming stars like Cabot and Jeunesse and Lepagnol getting a key role this year, it just, whenever they, on the transition, they are able to really quick strike and score on offense. They know who's going long, who's coming in on the short, and who should be having the disc. And that kind of teamwork sometimes makes up for an athletic differential on any given play. So kudos to the way that Montreal can work, and hopefully they can get back into this game.
Montreal pull, Ottawa possession. Kinley G. Drops that into the middle for Keelan Way. Way for Mike Lee. Mike Lee being marked by Paranto, comes back out to Keelan Way. The long huck down the pitch. He's got it. Loiseau back for Ken Alexander. Alexander now into the end zone for the point. Kinley G restores the 4-point advantage for the Outlaws.
Was that a left-handed scuba over the top by Ken Alexander? Great catch by Kinley G. Bit of a kick spike there on the celebration, but a left-handed scuba over the top. He's right-handed, and he just threw that with his left hand. That is an impressive throw by Ken Alexander. He is not short of talent, let me tell you that. He's been playing for many, many years, and he just always seems to have a new trick or a new skill to show when he's playing on offense. Just a very comfortable player right now, and he seems to be shaking off some of the rust that he exhibited in the first 3 games of the season.
Scoring being spread around. A couple of people, actually 4 with 2 goals in this one. Number 89 for Ottawa, Nick Boucher has a couple. Keelan Way has a couple. And for Montreal, Yolan Cabot with 2. And there's another turnover. Ottawa trying to take advantage. Matthew Hogel with the disc. Hogel forced back. Scott Westwell and Hogel play catch. Hogel moves it back for Corey. Andy Corey for Westwell. Westwell looks left, forced right with the forward to Corey. Corey throws the overhand into the end zone for the point. Matthew Berg with his first goal makes it 11-5 Ottawa.
Great hammer, great catch by Matt Berg. If you're watching this team for the first time this season, you have to ask yourself, how is this team 0-3? And it's definitely not due to a lack of talent. They are a very, very talented team, and they seem to be putting it together. Everybody's fired up right now. They're looking to see if they can continue on a roll here. Game is still very, very early. We're in the second quarter. They'll be looking to continue their strong play here. The defensive line, the guys that are out there mostly play the start on defensive plays, they have been really stepping up. Not only are they forcing the defensive turns, but they're also doing a very good job of scoring when they get the disc. Speaks to the depth on both teams.
Ottawa's pull. Catches a gust. And takes Quinlan back into his own end zone. Brochu, another turnover. As Cabot couldn't hang on to the disc, and the Outlaws look to pounce once again. The hammer, great catch! Into the end zone for the point.
Wow, I don't know if I've ever seen the Outlaws play with more confidence than they are right now. Look at this, Nick Boucher picks it up, hammer, lefty hammer over the top, and a great catch in the end zone.
Jordan McGregor with his second goal.
Turnover caused just a simple fundamental mistake there, but what originally started it was Nick Boucher had a pull that seemed to stay up in the air for about 12 seconds. Now I know that Nick Boucher and Andy Corey are doing most of the pulls this year. They're averaging between 5 and 6 seconds for every pull, but that one was fantastic. It was deep, it was high, it allowed the defense to get down there, and that is forcing some problems for Montreal. When you start with 80 to 90 yards needed in order to score, it's a lot harder whenever the disc is pulled at the 50 or in the middle of the field. So
now Montreal trailing by 6, Steve. They have to regroup and get something going here quickly because they don't want Ottawa to have too much momentum going into the dressing room at halftime.
They can't let this game go out. I mean, they were a playoff team last year. They've got the exact same roster with a couple of additions this year. So the expectation for them coming into the season with a great coaching staff and a great team is they should be in the playoffs again. And it is very early in the season. We've got a 16-week season. They've only played 3 games. But it's time this is a win they'd like to get because they've never beaten Ottawa in the AUDL. They'd like it to be tonight, especially with Ottawa hosting in this beautiful facility. There we see some of the Ottawa players some of the stars, Colin Green, Dave Jansen. These are players that have been star players nationally, internationally, and definitely in the Ottawa scene for many years. They're out tonight with injuries, but they're here on the sideline to lend their support.
I saw Jeremy Hill with the ice bag around his left knee. I doubt we're going to see him back in this one.
And it's a shame, and we hope that it's merely a sprain, and we'll see him back for the next game.
There's the ice bag on the left knee of Jeremy Hill. Went out for 1 shift, and looks like his night is done after just that 1 appearance on the bench. Here's the pull by Nick Boucher. Boucher gets a bit of a floater taken by Nemours. Nemours inside for Antoine Genet. Genet outside finds Cabot. Cabot looking deep. Great defense there. Matt O'Brien laid out for the pick, and the Outlaws come back the other way. Nick Boucher, the long huck after it. Oh, Jordan McGregor just unable to catch up with it.
Disappointing on that throw there. Nick had hoped that Jordan would be able to come down with it. 2 young guys making stuff happen out there. Here's the defensive play. What a fantastic reach out there by the newcomer O'Brien. He's a rookie this year. That's an exciting play and a good read.
Becoming a huck fest, and another great defensive play there by Westwell. Westwell with the pick. Moves that one up for number 22, Alec Arsenault. Matthew Hogle. Hogle plays that one back for Westwell. Hogle has it again. Hogle dishes off for Westwell. Kevin Quinlan right on him, and a 7-second delay results in another turnover, it would appear.
Stall down turnover. Bang on, Dan. And, you know, there was some good patience by the Outlaws, but just a little bit too much patience. These players used to the 10-second stall count during the non-professional season. And on that play, they had forced some turns. It became a bit of a huck fest, as you said. And when we say it's become a huck fest, that's usually a sign that there's not a lot of great hucks being thrown. It's just turnover, turnover. It's a nice, us saying that in a nice way that there's a lot of turnovers. Montreal, as you said, needs to cut the deficit on this play. This is a stop point that they need. And so we see them calling a timeout and using their brain trust in order to draft up a play.
Head coach Guylaine Girard down there. And do you think she's going to mix up her personnel? We've seen Yolande Cabot out there primarily with Antoine Genet and Lepagnol. Do you think she'll sort of move people around and try and just throw a different look at the Outlaws?
Well, those are fantastic players, so she might try separating them or changing the roles. She might also try and move the other 4 pieces on the field to give a different look and maybe change the roles around, because right now Ottawa seems to be keying in on that break press, which Montreal originally had a lot of success on, but Ottawa's is really challenging on defense.
Derek Alexander all the way deep, and it's going to turn over. Carl Loiseau was down there, but there were 3 white shirts around him. Now number 13, Andre Arsenault. Arsenault plays that into the middle for Simon Ayotte. Some new faces out there. Jean-Louis Champagne, his pass goes awry, and it's another turnover for the Outlaws.
Jean-Louis Champagne, who threw the winning point at the 2009 Nationals for Montreal's first ever men's championship, with an unfortunate throw there. He'd love to have that one back.
Keelan Way lays out, keeps the disc alive. There's the throw and the point for Mike Lee.
As we said earlier in the broadcast, Mike Lee, glue guy that just, makes those nice cuts underneath, gives something for Ottawa to look at every time, and just a nice grab by Keelan Way there. That's his MO, and he makes a nice pass to Mike Lee. Mike Lee, no need to dive on that one. Keelan, just a great grab on a tough throw there. And he puts it out to space. Not a lot of room for Keelan. Very highly defended by Montreal on that play, but Mike Lee runs a good route, runs a good angle. Great hands on Mike Lee on that play.
Ottawa leading by 7 here. 7 minutes, 38 seconds left to go here in the second quarter, and Ottawa in control here, but there's still a lot of ultimate to be played in this one.
I think they know what's at stake here in terms of the season and the way that they've started off. And you can see Derek Alexander, who's the bona fide leader of this team, still working on the sidelines despite the 7-point lead. He wants to make sure that when they get the disc back on offense there, they're going to be able to capitalize the first time.
Great pull by the Outlaws. Quinlan now for Montreal. And an injured Montreal Royal down. It looks like it's number 22, Christian Mathieu, who went down.
This would be a heavy, heavy loss for Montreal. Christian is about to celebrate his birthday tomorrow, as we said, turning 36. He'll be representing Canada on the Masters team, the men's Masters team at the World Championships. So, and I've actually never seen him on the field, so he's not the type to go down in a heap unless there's something wrong with him, and hopefully there isn't. So maybe it's just a matter of cramps. He is pointing to his shoulder right now, so hopefully he'll be able to work that out with the head therapist. Getting some assistance off the field from his teammates. Just a long-time leader, an excellent player.
Looks like he's going to stay out there.
Excellent. That's good news for Montreal, and I'm sure Ottawa, who's long respected this guy as an opponent, is happy that he's able to stay out.
Montreal with possession of the disc. 7 minutes and 28 seconds left to go in the opening half. And now Ottawa looking to just alter their defensive set.
That's right. And then look, what they've learned early on is if they allow the deeps, Montreal will take them because they've got great throwers. So they've got to force them to throw underneath as they just did.
Great layout there to keep the disc alive by Olivier Saint-Denis. He has the disc now. Looks to his right, goes on the backhand, looking for some help, and 7-second stall delay, and it's another turnover in favor of the Ottawa Outlaws.
The change from 10 seconds to 7 seconds really creates a lot of time pressure, because if you've got the disc, you don't have time to look at everything upfield. You've got to have a strategy and have a set play that you're looking for and do your check downs and move the disc very, very quickly.
Matthew Hogle knocked down, and it's a turnover. Referees. Number 20, Nick Brochu, right there, all over Hogle, and didn't really allow Hogle any time or space.
As the ref saw it, it's the same as we saw it. That was just some excellent, tough defense on there. No foul on that play.
Great catch by Quinlan. Looks into the end zone, looking for Joseph Genet. He's got it. Wait, little wait to see whether the official got the correct call, and indeed, Joe Genet, with the beautiful layout, was able to come up with that catch.
This is an excellent catch and throw here, looking out to space and just wraps it around the defender and to the wide open Montreal player, and he did an amazing job of, Genet did an amazing job of running that down. Always hard whenever you're running out of time and space in the end zone to come up with that throw, keep your, make the catch and keep your foot in bounds, and he did that. That disc was definitely piped down there by the Montreal player.
But more importantly, Steve, Montreal gets back on the board after trailing by 7, 13-6. They now have the lead down to 6. And if they can get a turnover, they can get a little bit more momentum going their way here in this second quarter.
Great pull to start off. Now the defense has to put on the pressure.
Keelan Way for Paul Renaud. Renaud looked to the backhand, had to dump it off for Kinley G. For Keelan Way. Way moves that out. Mike Lee. All the way back. Here's Carl Loiseau with the long huck going down. The disc is floating. They go up. And a great catch there. Derek Alexander went up for it, and he's the guy that came down with it.
Every time you see a play like that, and Derek makes those, has been making those for so long, and he's just defying the expectations on this. Way to get up and make that play. Just a fantastic job in a crowd. Got stepped on at the end, but just comes up, great grab. That's just an incredible athletic play by Derek Alexander on that play. Really, really stepping up, understanding the importance of the play, getting some high fives here from his longtime teammates. Coach John Haig played with him for many, many years. Colin Green, Dave Jansen as well. I mean, that was a beautiful thing to watch there.
Indeed, Derek Alexander, the veteran, going up and coming down with the disc, and Ottawa leads by 7, 5:45 left to go in the first half. Here's Quinlan. Quinlan sends that one out for Brochu. Nick Brochu. Being closely marked by Andy Corey. There's a loose disc, and it's a turnover. Boucher for Hagel, or Hogel. Hogel looking deep, looking for Matt O'Brien. He's got it.
Beautiful offensive transition there for the D-line of the Ottawa Outlaws. Wow, kudos. Just fantastic. They played some hard defense. They forced up a O-hip pass, and then they got the D and they moved it like they were an offensive line all the time. So nice catch here by O'Brien. This is at least 2 plays that the rookie has made in this first half that have kind of really stood out for us. He's really making a name for himself here to the Ottawa fans that maybe didn't get a chance to see him last year. This is his first year. Great defense and great offensive execution for O'Brien.
Matt O'Brien coming up with a big point on a big defensive play. Ottawa getting the turnover, and Montreal reeling, trailing by 8 with 5 minutes and 18 seconds left to go here in the second quarter. Ottawa has controlled this one all the way thus far.
Here's a pull by Luke Phelan. Gets it out to space, some good hang time on it. But Montreal starts off from a good space on the field.
Nick Brochu gets that up for Simon Ayotte. Ayotte with the long huck looking down. Unfortunately, Francis Breton couldn't make the catch. A couple of bodies in his way, but defensively, it looked like the Outlaws were a little unsure of where the disc was.
That's right, and there seems to be some physical hitting on that play, but nothing beyond incidental contact. So play goes on, and Ottawa gets the disc back.
Arsenault finds his man. There's a long huck looking down the field for Laurent Loiseau. He's got it. Laurent Loiseau. Infraction against Montreal. And that means the disc moves to the middle of the pitch.
Right on the goal line, so this is a huge advantage. The only thing is that Laurent Loiseau's sort of a younger player is going to have to get up this disc off the line, and he does. Oh, unfortunately, a turnover on that play.
It didn't work out, and hustling down the field is Nick Brochu. Disc comes out to Joe Genet for Brochu. Nick Brochu looking for his man in the end zone, and an easy point there for Francis Breton, who raced down, and Montreal took advantage of an Ottawa mistake at the Montreal goal line.
Good transition offense. Everybody on the field has all the throws, right? So whenever you let a guy go get open on transition, O'Brien was very tired after that shift. He had just scored it, and then he was busy chasing on that play, and he wasn't able to make up the difference on that play. So good job by Montreal, and a good catch by Breton.
Montreal won't go away.
So as you see, the body language has changed a little bit. Montreal does seem very focused, but they had a bit of a time where the Ottawa went on a bit of a run. It seems like the focus is right back to where it needs to be, and we'll see how they can pull this and get down on defense. It's crucial to put pressure on Ottawa's throwers.
Derek Alexander for Kinley G. G out for Mike Lee. As the Outlaws have their starting unit out there. Here's Carl Loiseau. Loiseau for Paul Renaud. Renaud getting close to running out of time. Kinley G makes one move, throws the forehand to Carl Loiseau, who comes back for Mike Lee. Mike Lee down the pitch looking for Kinley G. G into the corner. He's got it. Great play, Mike Lee and Kinley G. And the Sully in the end zone.
Oh boy, we've got an Irish dancer here, Kinley G. I'm not sure about the kick in the disc after every point here, but definitely Ottawa fans have been waiting for this guy. He's a young, brash player, 19 years old. He reminds a lot of people of a young Derek Alexander. That's very, very high praise. Derek's athleticism is unquestioned even today. But Kinley just did a nice cut out there and a very nice throw to him. He makes the grab, and he is excited. Normal 19-year-old teen spirit here that he's got going on. And I think...
to have that energy.
The energy, right? He plays the game with some excitement, and there's nothing wrong with that. And I think that all the fans here tonight are just watching him play, and they're very excited about the future of watching this guy play for the Outlaws for many years.
Great pull by the Outlaws, takes Nick Brochu deep into his own end zone. Reynald Nemours just outside his own goal line. Nemours finds Christian Mathieu, who's back out there after going down. Quinlan with the long huck looking for Joe Genet. Oh, and it sailed beautifully beyond the Ottawa defender and directly into the hands of Joe Genet.
Genet is stepping up in the second quarter. We didn't see a lot of him in the first quarter. In the second quarter, he and Breton have been people that Montreal has been looking for. So as you indicated, the Montreal Royal coaching staff has made some changes as to the personnel going on for some of these points, and it's kind of sparked the team. Quinlan has had some good throws in this game, and that was one of them. He put it out to space. Really, really tough play for Andy Corey to Dion. So sometimes you just have to tip your hat and say, good job, Montreal. You threw the disc where no one could get it except the offensive player.
And in a way that just the disc directly moved away from Corey, and he had no play.
And that's why they're professionals. We've got to see some good pulls here from Montreal. They need to get the disc a little bit deeper, and then their defense needs to get down and pressure.
Disc comes down, Kinley G for Derek Alexander. Alexander, Keelan Way. Back for Derek Alexander for Kinley G. Mike Lee. Derek Alexander goes up and comes down with it to keep it alive. Wonderful play. Ken Alexander now. Derek Alexander running under it. Marked immediately. Inside for Mike Lee. Lee for Carl Loiseau. Looking for Derek Alexander. Oh, easy point, Outlaws.
Great job by Derek Alexander. Just a fantastic catch on the sideline earlier in the play, and then he runs out to space. A valiant effort by number 13, Andre Arsenault, but there was a matchup issue on that play, and that issue was Arsenault could not stop Alexander on that play, and Alexander was just the focal point of that offense. It was beautiful to watch, and you gotta love it when a team is able to see a new matchup like that, Arsenault on Alexander, and key on it. Obviously, they're gonna be looking for Derek anyways, but Derek was making some plays out there, and just a really nice save on an earlier pass by Mike Lee. Good point for Ottawa as we get near the end of the second quarter.
Been a great offensive first half so far. 26 points scored in this one. Both teams
Ottawa's
really proficient on the offensive side of the disc.
This is how good Ottawa's been playing. They're getting close to their totals for the entire games for the first 3 on average.
Brochu inside for Genet. Genet looking deep. Great D! Jeff Bevan! Or make that Matt Hogel going against Yolan Cabot, and Hogel just able to swat the disc away.
Matt Hogel with his classic scorpion dive to try and stop that disc in the air. Gets a hand up, and Yolan Cabot, who does not miss many of those. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to come up with that. Hopefully he's not injured on the play. He seemed like he was a little slow to get up on that play. But as I was saying before, now we've got a little bit of time here, the Outlaws are averaging about 18 points a game as the season goes on. They've already got 17 with 2 minutes to go in the second quarter. So they have saved their best for the home fans today, and I think the fans are very happy with what they've seen so far.
Ottawa in possession after the great D by Matt Hogel. Nick Boucher. Boucher moves it out. Derek Alexander slipped and fell, but was still able to catch the disc. Alexander gets that one back from Westwell. Derek Alexander finds Corey. Andy Corey moves that one in for Berg. Matt Berg. Good D, intending that pass for Jordan McGregor, was a little behind him, but you can't take away from the play of Christian Mathieu to knock the disc away for the D.
Mathieu doing his best to stay with Jordan McGregor, who's a speedy little receiver. Matt Berg has to get that disc further ahead and prevent Christian Mathieu from having a chance on the disc.
Oh, travel against Montreal's Antoine Genet will result in another turnover and Ottawa possession of the disc deep in Montreal territory. Derek McGregor for Boucher. Boucher looking for McGregor, but didn't get enough air under the disc. McGregor went for it, made his cut into the corner, but unfortunately, Boucher unable to get him the disc with 41 seconds left to go in the half.
Derek shouting encouragement to Nick to try and make that play again. That was a really skilled cross hand play on that, and they weren't able to connect, unfortunately, but that's the kind of things that you can do whenever you have a guy like Derek as your receiver. They're trying to make those plays happen. Now we've got Montreal in the field that says, how can I not be fouled? I've lost my shoe. They've knocked off my shoe. So there's some discussion as to who has the disc here.
And at the professional level, to have referees on the pitch, it speeds the game up considerably. At the amateur level, of course, it's still an honor system.
That's right, and you know, there's still an expectation, as it says in the AUDL rulebook, to uphold that integrity of the game that they have and the spirit of the game that they have at the non-professional level. But Kevin Quinlan has had a chance to put his shoe on, has had a chance to cool off a bit, and he makes a big throw out to space.
And a nice catch there on the huck by Antoine Genet into the end zone for the point. Guess who? Joe Genet once again, the brother act for the Montreal Royale, working to perfection on that play.
And if you're John Haig on the sideline, you're going to talk to that line and tell them they did a great job forcing the original turnover and moving it down the field. And whenever there was the hijinks of the shoe gate where the shoe came off, you cannot lose your focus. You let them put the shoe on, but whenever they check that disc in, you don't let that huck out, and that's what happened. 40, 50-yard huck down the field led to a quick transition, and once that huck was made and the catch was made, there was no chance for Ottawa to catch up on that. Very, very quick point. 80, 90 yards traveled in a very short time on that play, and Ottawa cannot let that happen after there's a stoppage of play. Clamp the defense down, don't let the hucks in.
40 yards between the goal line and midfield, and 20-yard end zones in a professional ultimate field. That one will go well into touch. And Ottawa will get great field position here to start this possession with 18 seconds left on the clock. Lots of time to score one before these teams head to the room.
Montreal is averaging about 30 to 40 yards less on every pull. So you can imagine just how much easier it is for Ottawa to score when they're starting 30, 40 yards ahead as opposed to their opponent.
Carl Loiseau. Loiseau for Keelan Way. Back to Loiseau. Loiseau in trouble with the double team. 3 seconds left. Alexander's got to get rid of it. All the way down. Oh, Mike Lee comes up with it on the final huck of the first half, and Ottawa leads by 8 going into the room.
Oh, did somebody leave this here at the end zone, says Mike Lee. What a play. The glue guy that we were talking about. Just time in and time again. He's there at the right place. It's never a bad time to catch the disc. Here's the throw up to space. Thought that was going to be caught by Kinley. It goes through a crowd, and there is Mike Lee finishing the run, working hard, regardless of the score, and he bumps it up, and now we've got a 7-point lead going into halftime. Great play by Mike Lee.
8-point lead, 18-10 on that final point. They haven't put it up on the board, but that's how it stands after the first 24 minutes. The Ottawa Outlaws are really putting on a show here in their home opener at TD Place. Steve Traynor, this is the kind of offensive capabilities that the Ottawa Outlaws have had all season long. Why have they not been able to sort of use the offensive power that they have?
Well, you'd like to think that they're waiting for that moment when the pressure is at its highest, but I think what happens is when you're traveling on the road and you're going to places like DC, Philadelphia, New York, whatever, there's the Toronto, there's the challenge of the actual travel and playing against large home fans, up to 2,000 fans that we see in Montreal and Toronto. And I think in Ottawa, it was just a matter of overcoming the fact that there are some injuries and being able to play in front of the home fans has been a positive.
Well, they certainly looked healthy in this one. We'll go down to field level. Here's Mike Nellis.
Thank you, Dan. And we're back here at field level. Mike Nellis with John Haig, the coach of the Ottawa Outlaws, after a successful first half where his team leads by 8. John, where did things go right in that first half?
I think our defensive pressure, especially early, really helped us, really rattled their offense. Gave our D-line lots of chances with the disc to take some shots for some breaks.
Any major areas of improvement for your team in the half? I mean, I know it's hard to say when you're up by 8 against a team ahead of you in the standings. But
right now we're up 7, so I'm pretty happy. If our O-line can execute a little crisper with their chances, just keep our D-line on the field, I think we'll do great.
Well, our color commentator, Steve Traynor, said that he hasn't seen you guys play with this much confidence in a long, long time. Why do you think that is just for today? Was it the good start?
I think it's the good start. The fans here really got us excited to play, and I think it helped fuel our defensive intensity from the start. Got a couple breaks early, and the ball just keeps rolling.
And that's the last thing, too, is the fan base here for this home opener. Playing in a big stadium, did that get the players pumped up as well?
I think it does. You can tell from warm-up the guys are really fired up. They're ready to go. You can see in the intensity they're bringing on defense that the fans are really carrying the team.
Thanks, John.
Thank you.
That is Coach John Haig of the Ottawa Outlaws. Stay tuned for continued coverage of this AUDL game between the Outlaws and Royale. Up next on Rogers TV. (17-10), the Ottawa Outlaws lead the Montreal Royale here at TD Place in this AUDL home opener for the Outlaws. Back here with the owner of the Ottawa Outlaws, Jim Lloyd. And Jim, thank you for joining me at halftime.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
And the first thing that I wanted to talk to you about, I already mentioned we're here at TD Place, and this is the first game of the season. We will return to MNP Park at Carleton for the majority of home games, but for this first game, we're here at on the big stage of the city. Really, a 25,000 seat park. What made you want to come out here for the home opener?
Well, this is something that started about 6 or 7 months ago. Our discussions with the group at OSEG, we really wanted to have an opportunity to put on a big ultimate showcase. We had a very successful year last year. We were very well attended, from an expansion franchise perspective, and we wanted to try to step it up. Now, this is obviously one of the nicest venues you're going to find anywhere. We wanted to be realistic in terms of the size of the venue. We wanted to make it intimate enough that the fans are all sitting together. We wanted to make use of all the facilities that are here, and it's something that took a while to put together, but I'm really happy that it did, and I'm very pleased with the way it worked out.
And you're also playing one game later this year in Gatineau as well. So 2 home games away from MNP Park, this one, and then later in Gatineau, extending into that French market. We're playing a French opponent this evening in the Montreal Royale. Is there a market you find for Ultimate in Gatineau?
When we look at the fan base that we had coming over from Gatineau to our games last year, there's a lot of people. They're very, very passionate. They're very committed to the sport. We approached the local association over there and said, could we do a showcase event like this in Gatineau, and they were extremely excited. So we said, hey, this is a perfect way to expand the footprint of the game, get it out to more people, because our goal here is to turn this from a participation sport like you see back here into a spectator sport. So the more people that watch it, or the more people that love it, and that's the goal. That's really what we're trying to do.
Are you expecting to see big crowds in Gatineau? I know you mentioned that, but what kind of stadium are you guys going to be playing at? Is it similar to MNP Park at Carleton?
Not similar to similar to MNP, but it's at Complex Mont Bleu, which probably will hold 1,500 people quite comfortably. And I think if we can get in that range, then once again a very loud, boisterous crowd is going to make for a very good event.
Now actually we're going to go to break right now, Jim, so that'll do it for us. Thank you very much. There you go. Thanks a lot. As we will be back with a highlight pack for the from the first half when we return here on Rogers TV.
That's your gig.
Okay.
Good. You got your microphone on the right spot.
Nice. Yes.
Good side. It's not on the outside coming in. It's on the inside. Always. That's the rule.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. I just we don't know where the coach is right now, the Montreal coach. So. Okay, but so if we're not going to get her, what should I do? Should I just? No, but what do I do? Do I come on air or do I just say no? Okay. Okay. All right.
Because they're going back upstairs.
Welcome back to TD Place. The Ottawa Outlaws leading the Montreal Royal 18-10. They scored with no time left on the clock to end the first half on a thank you very much by Mike Lee, Dan Mooney alongside Steve Traynor for this one, and a great first half for the Ottawa Outlaws, Steve.
Yeah, a wonderful first half for Ottawa, and a great job by the home fans being excited and cheering them on. They played excellent offense, and the defense was very tight in the first half.
Defense very, very tight, but as you mentioned, during the course of the first half, Ottawa scored 18 points. They've only averaged 17 in their first 3 games coming into this home opener.
Yes, and I think that has come from 2 things. The offense definitely did get better as the game went along for Ottawa as compared to previous games. And on defense, whenever they forced the turnovers, the transition offense was fantastic.
Lots of highlights in that first half and lots on the Ottawa side of the ledger, Steve.
Well, we see here Nick Boucher with a nice throw at the space. Ottawa, a lot of players stepped up in this game. There's a lot of spread out. Montreal was able to stay with Ottawa during the game in the first half, and then Montreal continued to press on the break side, getting some nice scores in the front of the end zone. Now, however, Ottawa was able to do, as we said, some quick transition D, and they were able to make some great grabs in the end zone. There's one by Nick Boucher there with the big celebration, and here's another big throw. As you can see, they went high and deep early and often in this first half. Some great catches by O'Brien, and Montreal was no slacker to getting it in the end zone as well. They were able to play the long game. But in the end, Ottawa was able to come up with a big lead. They were able to force a lot of turns on defense, and they were able to use that long game and strong defensive play with the big celebrations in terms of getting the quick lead.
Let's talk a little bit about how important the position of handler is, and how Derek Alexander for the Ottawa Outlaws is really putting on a clinic in that position tonight.
Really kudos to him. We expect a very, very high level of play from Derek, and I think he's exceeded that today. Montreal has not been able to find somebody to mark him, and the handlers is usually 3 on the field, and a focused player like Derek Alexander gets the disc a lot. He's really done that in the first half, and if Ottawa has their way, they'll do that again in the second half.
Look for that 7-man unit that has worked so well for the Ottawa Outlaws, led by Derek Alexander. In the second half, we'll take a break. Ottawa leads by 8 at halftime. You're watching the Ottawa Outlaws and the American Ultimate Disc League on Rogers TV. Welcome back to TD Place, and a crowd of 1,000 plus here on hand for the Ottawa Outlaws home opener here in the 2016 AUDL regular season. And Ottawa coming into this one with an 0-3 record, but you'd never know it by the way they're playing. Dan Mooney alongside Steve Traynor and Mike Nellis at field level. And Steve, a really, really fine first half by the Ottawa Outlaws.
Yes, credit is definitely due here. There was great offense, there was great defense, and as you alluded to during the first half, there was a lot of great execution by a number of different players on the Outlaws. Derek Alexander has definitely led the way on offense, but when we look at the scoring and we look at the Ds and the turnovers that were created, it's been definitely done by committee. And when we look at the Montreal side, we've seen the same sort of shared offense and defense responsibility. They haven't had the first half that they were hoping for. They're coming off a big win last week. But there's still time. There's 2 quarters to go, and Montreal has been able to be confused and come back against Ottawa many times before. Never in professional Ultimate League. They're 0-3, but we should see them pull out some new defensive strategies.
Certainly capable of it.
Yes, the talent is definitely there.
Le Royale getting set to get the second half underway. Number 49, Félix-Antoine Daigle with the pull. And this second half underway as Ottawa gets the disc first. Kinley G. For Keelan Way. Back for Kinley G. Derek Alexander for Mike Lee. Lee being marked by David Ferraro, the defensive specialist for Montreal. There's Renault with the long hawk into the end zone, and Carl Loiseau comes up with it. Ottawa leads by 9.
If Paul Renault starts making those throws with this offense the way that it's playing, this is going to be a dangerous offensive line moving forward. A great throw by Paul Renault. I cannot say how pleased I am to see that throw. We haven't seen it earlier in the game, and he just lets it go with a big hawk in perfect space to Carl Loiseau on that play.
19-10. Ottawa out in front, just 24 seconds into the second half to get their first point on the board.
Ottawa's not messing around here. They've got Andy Corey, who's one of their main pull specialists, and he can really put it long and high, and he does that again.
Montreal starts about 10 yards out from their own goal line. Namur, Reynald Namur for Montreal. Matthew Berg all over him, the long huck looking for Quinlan, and he comes down with it. Kevin Quinlan still with it, with the throw into the end zone and the catch made by Yolande Cabot, and Cabot scores his third of the evening for Montreal to get them back within 8.
Cabot keeps scoring in that end zone in that back corner. Mr. Hunt is going to have to charge him some rent in a TD place. He has been very effective at going on the break side and catching it in the end zone. It's just a sign of a very skilled, world-class player. Cabot's been strong today. I think he wants to dig in and maybe push it a little bit harder in this half to see if he can help turn the tide for the Royale.
Over the course of last season, Montreal had a +8 point differential, averaging 22.6 points per game and 22 points against. So over the course of the regular season, they were +8. Coming into this one, Montreal -2 on point differential, Ottawa -33.
As we said, not a great start, and it's hard to believe that Ottawa had such a tough start with the way that they're playing tonight. But everybody has been really doing their part, and a great throw by Derek across the field, hammer there.
Keelan Way.
We're seeing a bit of a zone here. We've got some zone defense. There's a bit of a junk being put by Montreal just to try and cause some confusion to the Ottawa handlers.
Ken Alexander waits for the double team, moves it out. Mike Lee across for Kinley G. And here's Paul Renault. Has Ken Alexander in the end zone for the point. Paul Renault with his second assist of this young third quarter.
This is an interesting storyline that's developing here. Paul Renault, who did struggle in the first 3 games of the season, is now making catches out in open space. And he threw a big backhand for a score. He gets the pass from Keelan Way. He's wide open. Put some English on that, and it's caught by Ken Alexander. Great job to come down with that by Ken, but just a perfect throw. 2 for 2, bam. If only it was that easy every time. So what we saw from Montreal there is very rare. We saw a zone or a type of zone that was put on there. They're having a tough time stopping Derek. They can't find one particular person to play man-to-man defense. So what they're doing is they're trying sort of a junk in order to stop him from doing a major amount of damage. But unfortunately for Montreal, the rest of the Ottawa players on the offensive line for Ottawa have been doing really, really well and moving the disc well.
Namur, Reynald Namur, fielding the pull. Now finds Brochu, Nick Brochu, throws that into the middle and completes that pass to Jean-Philippe Riopel, getting his first action of the game. Kevin Quinlan for Montreal, dishes that off for Yolande Cabot. All the way to the far side, Antoine Lepagnol. Moves it up, nice play by Genet to keep his body between the defender and the disc. And they're gonna mark it down. They're gonna mark that a point with the catch by Namur, but I'm not sure whether or not he trapped it.
I am not sure of that either. What, if he did catch it, what a catch by Namur on the rebound. The disc was thrown up there. And we're going to see it up here. They get up, and it was caught. Wow, what a catch. What a great view of the Rogers camera angle on there, and just goes up. We weren't able to see it from this side of the field, and it's caught, and disappointing for Matt Berg, who had the D on that play. One of the things defensive coaches like to say is always catch your Ds. If you have the option of coming down and catching the disc as opposed to knocking it away, try and do that to prevent that sort of miracle play happening, which doesn't happen very often, but when it does, it's a little disheartening. Berg made the play, he read the play well, he should have came down with that D, and quick point for Montreal on that play.
Ottawa will get great field position to start this possession, leading by 8. Kinley G out there with Derek Alexander in the handling position. Here's Kinley G. Félix-Antoine Daigle all over him. Ottawa starts up. Loisel into the end zone. Great catch, Ken Alexander. His second point of this young second half.
Kenny Alexander is a very, very hard guy to cover down the field when he's on offense. He's tall, he runs well, he makes good cuts, he's got good hands, and it's just a very, very nice throw out to space. And Montreal just got off to a really bad start on that play. The pull was quite awful, to be honest with you. And Ottawa was able to start the play from the midpoint field. They, half of their work was already done there, and they're just doing a really good job of not forcing the play. The first couple of passes downfield are being taken away, so Kinley, G, Derek Alexander, and those guys are moving the disc around quite quickly.
Andy Corey with the pull for the Outlaws. Montreal starts about 8 yards out of their own goal line. Brochu. Or make that Antoine Genet with the long huck. And the great D there by Nick Boucher to take one away from Yolande Cabot. Out there now, Alex Arsenault. Moves it up, Colin Froats. He's been used sparingly by the Outlaws here. Froats with the hammer throw. Great catch there, David Jansen. Or make that number 3, Scott Westwell, the veteran. Arsenault with the forehand. Andy Corey. Back for Westwell. For number 11, Matt O'Brien. Westwell gets it back again. Finds Corey. Corey with the hammer into the corner, and the great D looking for Matthew Berg, and a better defensive play there by Christian Mathieu. And his long huck intended for Kevin Quinlan, well off the mark, but he made the D and stopped Ottawa from cashing in.
Yes, they made the D, but unfortunately, that what happens is when you feel the time pressure of a big facing a big lead, it forces you to put some throws up that you might otherwise not make. And unfortunately, as quickly as they made the D, they threw it away here. So here's the throw out to space, and that is a very, very nice play. Good positioning by Montreal Royal on that play.
There's Berg. Berg with a little toss into the end zone for the point. Alec Arsenault gets his first statistical note of this one, in Ottawa leads it now 22-12. They led it by 8 at the half. They've widened it to 10.
Alec Arsenault is just doing an excellent job of showing how to play a good, strong defensive game. Maybe the numbers in terms of the easy stats are not there yet, but he's just been so solid. He's been tasked with covering some of the better players on Montreal, and it's nice to see a guy like that get rewarded with a nice, easy goal in the end zone. But Ottawa has really, and I think this bodes well for the rest of the season, Ottawa has really been able to cycle through quite a few players on the defensive line tonight, and they've all produced results and goals. Usually you see a team that's really taxed with creating turnovers. They're focusing and using the same 7 to 9 guys. Tonight it's been great shift work by all the players in the Outlaws. Everyone's had their turn.
Luke Phelan with the great pull, and Daigle starts out for Montreal. Saint-Denis back for Daigle. Daigle into the middle for Simon Ayotte. Ayotte with the forehand. He's completed that one to Jean-Philippe Riopel. Riopel comes down. Nemours. Nemours into the end zone. Great grab by Mathieu for the point.
Looks like Christian Mathieu has recovered from that mishap earlier in the first half. He makes a nice run out to space. And just a great throw, too. Defender for the Outlaws was there in the vicinity. But when you make a throw like that, a flick throw like that with that kind of angle, it really is either going to go to the Royale player or it's going to go behind him as a turnover. The Outlaws player was kind of taken out of that play just by good strategy and good arc on the disc.
And Nemours, Reynald Nemours, number 3 for Montreal, really proving his worth to this team as a playmaker.
Yes, and a playmaker who has a really interesting story. Now, he got his start not necessarily playing in the men's league. He was kind of focused on playing on mixed teams, so mixed gender teams. He was a strong player at that, and then whenever professional ultimate came, that was what convinced him to make the jump from playing on the mixed side to going and playing in men's only and playing professional. He's been a fabulous addition, and he's a guy that just brings a strong personality, a strong culture to the team. Well liked.
Matthew Berg with a circus catch. Loiseau. Derek Alexander to Ken Alexander. Inside for Mike Lee. Here's Alexander. Alexander, a little dish off to Lee. Him and Alexander play catch on the run. Hammer toss for Loiseau. Carl Loiseau looking for somebody open in the end zone. Running out of space. Kinley G has it. Now G about 5 yards out. Back for Mike Lee. Ottawa leading by 9. Trying to get the 10-point lead back. Here's Alexander. Alexander running out of time. Back for Kinley G, back to Alexander. He has 7 seconds. Inside for G, back to Alexander to G. Kinley G, back for Mike Lee. Lee tries to go to the forehand, goes to Alexander, looks for the return feed, and a great D there by Montreal's Joe Genet, number 14, lunging to block that touchdown, or that point pass for Mike Lee.
So much patience on that play by so many different players. Unfortunately, you get that close to the end zone after so many passes, you just want to push it in there, and Montreal was able to bait Derek Alexander into making that throw. It looks like there's going to be a timeout called by Montreal because anybody playing on that point would be exhausted. There must have been at least 20 passes made on that play. Some real poise from Kinley G, the 19-year-old sensation. And Mike Lee was also extremely good on that play. He kept the disc alive. When you get near the end zone, when you're on the corner, that looked like it was did have a chance to be scored. But when in doubt, get it back into the middle and do exactly what Ottawa was doing earlier in the play and kind of move things around. Now we'll have to see what Montreal is going to do after the timeout. Ottawa's got to be really careful that that Montreal does not try for a long bomb on this play. So watch the defensive strategy to have the Ottawa players standing behind.
Antoine Genet, number 17, made a break down the left side. Andy Corey now marking him a lot closer. Reynald Nemours starts off. Time is in. Nemours very close to a stall count. There it is. No, it just blew it in. That pass just too far for Antoine Genet, and the turnover gives Ottawa the disc.
Defense was tight and forced the turnover. Good job by Andy Corey and his line mates.
There's another great steal by Daigle. Daigle moves that for Kevin Quinlan. Quinlan for Daigle for the point.
Felix Antoine Daigle with the double happiness, as Ken Rivera just said over the loudspeaker. What a great play here. He intercepts the disc, gets it back to his offensive handler, and then runs deep and makes the grab. We're going to see the interception here. Corey looking for somebody. He's got only 7 seconds to get it off. He floats it up, and it gets deep. Nice angling by Daigle. Makes a big dump off and then gets deep. That's what you have to do in transition D if you want to get the quick point. No chance for Westwall on the turn.
Now the lead 8 with 5:45 left to go here in the third quarter. Montreal with a bit of momentum on their side now, scoring 2 unanswered points.
That's right, and they never stopped, even though they got a little bit down in this game, they haven't stopped working together and talking it out, and we see a little bit of momentum here for them, and we might see them shorten up the bench. They've had a couple points in a row, so they're going with some fresh defensive players on for this point, but they're looking to get this disc down, and they need some pulls here that are of quality.
Last time they scored more than a single point was early in the first quarter, around the 7:22 mark. They scored 3 in a row at 7:22, 8:33, and 9:44. So a minute and 11 seconds between each of those 3 points that Montreal scored in a row. Loiseau goes up. Ford comes down with it. Now forced back to give it to Ken Alexander. Alexander moves it to his brother Derek. Derek Alexander now. Keelan Way in motion, finds some space. Here's Keelan Way. Keelan Way with the forehand inside. Paul Renaud with the point.
Paul Renaud has been impressing us all night tonight. He's had really good hands. He's made some good cuts. And when he's been given the disc in the middle of the field, he's made some great throws. That is a tough catch for a big guy to come down with, and he did that. As soon as Keelan threw it, not a bad pass by Keelan. Could be a little higher for the big guy. And Keelan was very quick to come over and give him a high five and say thanks for coming down with that, because that was a heater. This has been a really good game for Renaud, and really he's kind of solidifying his role in that offensive top 7 as somebody that can be trusted to be out there on a point in, point out basis. Very good game tonight.
He's had a great couple of assists and to go along with that first goal for Renaud. Montreal will start after the Ottawa pull. Went into touch. Dagla being marked there closely by Bryce Ring. Nice catch there by Quinlan. Quinlan looking deep, looking downfield for Antoine Genet. A great defensive play by number 13, Andy Corey.
Genet was looking for a strip call on that play. It must have been, but it looked like Andy Corey got disc in advance of the offensive player grabbing it. Just made a good play there. 50-50 ball.
Boucher in for Alec Arsenault. For Bryce Ring. Ring into the middle. Great D by Montreal. Kevin Quinlan into the end zone. Guess who? Antoine Genet. And Montreal back within 8.
Fortunate turnover for veteran Bryce Ring there. He's looking to get it out to the middle of the field, and it's a cross-field pass. He's got a lot of space to make up for, and Montreal was able to bait that throw, and then they were able to jump on it. And they were off to the races as soon as they made that catch. Nice throw out here. When you turn it over in your end zone that quickly, it's very tough to set up the transition defense, because most of your players are downfield, and the heat was on for Montreal. They know that they have to score some quick points here. We talked about it, that this is the first time that they've had back-to-back points since the first quarter. They need those. There's no way around it. They're going to need some back-to-back points here in a hurry in the third quarter, in the start of the fourth.
Great pull. Alexander for Kinley G. Kinley G moves it out. Keelan Way. G. Loiseau. Carl Loiseau finds Ken Alexander. Alexander looking for some support. Forced to go back for Mike Lee. Number 29, Simon Ayat, right on Lee. Now Lee looking deep for Renaud at the goal line. And they give him the point. He was bumped in. And Ottawa scores again, so Paul Renaud.
Excellent body control for Paul Renaud here. He continues his hot play in the second half here. Nice throw by Mike Lee out to space. Contested well by Montreal. They tried to close up the gap there. When you're guarding somebody like Paul Renault, you know that you don't want him going deep on you. You might want to change your strategy and challenge the ins a little bit more, but Renault gets deep, makes the grab, and just excellent body control in order to catch the disc and stay in the inbounds for the score.
Paul Renault with his 4th point of this 3rd quarter. 2 goals, 2 assists, and Ottawa in control of this one. Their home opener from TD Place.
That's some trash water.
Namur with the long huck. That's a great defensive play there by number 89, Nick Boucher. Boucher inside for Matt O'Brien. Matt O'Brien finds Scott Westwell. Westwell moves that one back. Matthew Hogel for Westwell. Hogel gets it back. Hogel marked quickly. Finds number 16, Laurent Loiseau. Loiseau into the hands of Matt O'Brien and out for the turnover. You can't give Montreal credit for that, D. That was just bad handling.
That's right, and it's an unfortunate play for O'Brien. He hasn't seen a ton of time in the second half, and when the disc comes to him on a silver platter, he unfortunately wasn't able to bring it to the table on that play.
But Ottawa gets the disc back. Unfortunately, they've got to go 75 yards down the field to score.
That's right, and this is the defensive line for Ottawa. They have played so well on offense so far this game, but definitely timeout being called here.
Timeout called by the Ottawa Outlaws with 2 minutes and 34 seconds left to go. And is that a call by John Haig to get a more offensive set out there on the field?
Yes, I think he definitely wants to either have a more offensive set, or he wants to have a chance for that defensive line to figure out what they're going to do. So usually they come onto the field in a defensive mentality, so they're attacking and playing really aggressive. But when you're an offensive player, you're kind of like a biathlete where you're about to take some shots on the target. You got to calm the heart rate down. You got to make clear decisions about how you're going to aim and how you're going to move it down the field. And so John was a long-time strong offensive player. So I'm sure if he draws up a play, it'll be something that's clear and concise and gives them some direction moving down the field. It hasn't been an issue for Ottawa's defense of playing offense. They've done really well in transition. The one thing I would say at this point in time with Montreal, if you're the defensive players, anytime their offensive lines have given them some points, they've gone out there and had the real challenge of not being able to stop Alexander, G, Way, Renault, Lee. These people have kind of gone at will up and down the field, and they've had easy resets as well. So you definitely want to see Montreal come up with some sort of strategy to curb that easy flow.
And Ottawa has that big offensive punch out there. All those names that you just mentioned, they're big 7. Mike Lee moves that back. Derek Alexander for Keelan Way. Way out for Loiseau. Loiseau being marked there closely by Jean-Lévis Champagne. Here's Derek Alexander. Alexander, little flip for Keelan Way as Montreal has Ottawa pressed deep in their own territory. Mike Lee for Alexander. Alexander tries to go deep. He had Paul Renault breaking, but couldn't get him the disc. Here's Ken Alexander. Ken Alexander down deep for Renault. Great D there by number 18, David Ferraro, the defensive specialist for Montreal. Ferraro tried to feed that one back into the middle, and it didn't work out. Ottawa now looks to cash in on the turnover.
Bit of a disappointing night for Montreal. Great defensive play here by Ferraro. He's leading the team in Ds, and he's been strong tonight, but they turned it over immediately after.
And an easy score there for Mike Lee in Ottawa. Gets or restores the 10-point advantage.
So here's the pass by Carl Loiseau. It's caught by Mike Lee, flips it up, and the celebration kick. Kinley's had a couple of those tonight. I have not seen anyone do that in the league last year or this year, but Kinley seems to have perfected and grown fond of the kick after the point.
Well, in football, you kick after the point. You kick the extra one after the score, and not often you see the kind of hang time that Kinley G gets on those disc punts.
I know he's well, you know, he'll have to see. He'll have to talk to Mr. Hunt about see if there's any mid-season tryouts for the punting team. Hopefully, it won't come to that. What can I say? What a lovely stadium this is to see in Ottawa here, and I think everybody on the Outlaws has stepped their game up tonight because they've just been so excited about the prospect of playing here.
Namur, Quinlan with the catch into the middle, the deep puck, the disc standing up, and that'll result in a turnover. And they're calling a push-off on Nick Boucher, and he doesn't like the call.
He's had a couple of plays tonight that haven't gone his way, and he seems a little frustrated on that play for sure.
And there's the point by Montreal. Antoine Lepagnol with his second goal of the game.
So here's the play in question that got Nick fired up. And it looked like that disc was going to be very, very hard for the Royal player to make a play on. And right off the turn, nice throw over the top, some nice loft.
(25-16), Ottawa in control, leading by 9 with a minute left to go in the third quarter. Montreal getting set with the pull. And it's a good one. Kinley G for Derek Alexander. We're going to see a lot of this particular unit of 7 as we go forward. Alexander for Renault. Renault for Mike Lee. Lee inside for Alexander. Alexander finds Lee. Not a lot of movement now as the Outlaws trying to find some space in the scoring zone. They'll throw over the top and behind Mike Lee. I would expect Loiseau was kind of wishing that one would have turned back into Mike Lee as he ran into it.
I think maybe there was just a misunderstanding with regards to eye contact. Maybe he thought Mike was going to break, go off the break from where he was going, and didn't have a chance to make that eye contact.
Another long huck right into the hands of Joe Genet. Genet throws, great D there! Carl Loiseau made like a bird and flew, laid out to knock it down.
The Birdman indeed, he's really stepped up here. That has to be a high stall count throw, behind the back throw out to space, and Carl Loiseau with the big play there. Great job.
And that's the end of the third quarter. And Ottawa leads it by 9, 25-16. We'll take a break and be back with more American Ultimate Disc League and the Ottawa Outlaws home opener from TD Place, only on Rogers TV. back to TD Place. The Ottawa Outlaws lead the Montreal Royale 25-16 with the fourth quarter just about to get underway. Dan Mooney alongside Steve Traynor and Mike Nellis at field level. And Steve, all kinds of highlights in that third quarter. Paul Reno, his play outstanding so far.
Familiar with, and that's just an excellent way to start this home season for the Ottawa Outlaws. Saw a lot of great plays from that offensive line of Alexander, Keelan Way, Mike Lee, Renault, and Kinley G. They just have really been strong all game long, and there hasn't been sort of a response from Montreal to shut them down.
And the fourth quarter just about set. We're underway now here at TD Place in a game that the Ottawa Outlaws have never relinquished the lead. They scored the first point, Montreal tied it up, and after that, here's a great job by O'Brien. Couldn't quite catch up with it. Kevin Quinlan trying to set it up. There's the point for Montreal. Daigle on the goal line. Just his momentum carried him over the line, and Montreal gets the deficit back to 8.
Montreal continuing to fight in this game. It was just an excellent catch in the end zone over a diving Colin Froach, who's playing some super tight D there. And it looks like Ottawa continues to rotate defensive players through the lineup there, which I think is a good idea, just based on how hard these people are running out there. But Montreal has started to target some of the Ottawa players deep. And we see that O'Brien, who had an extremely strong first half for the Outlaws, he's been burned twice, a couple of times deep by Montreal. So Montreal's going to try and continue to exploit that. Ottawa's going to need to learn from that and either make some adjustments with O'Brien or make some changes defensively.
Here's the Montreal pull. Ottawa starts. Derek Alexander for Kinley G. G back to Alexander as Ottawa having difficulty getting away from this Montreal press. The long huck for Loiseau. The other number 7, Loiseau comes down with it over Frederic Perronto and into the end zone for the point to number 4, Luke Phelan.
No answers for this offensive line from Montreal.
Make it Keelan Way. Sorry about that, but here's Loiseau. He made the play by going up and getting that disc.
What a great grab on that play. Hotly contested throw into deep into space. Caught by Carl, and he makes the big play Keelan Way for the score.
Carl Loiseau now with 6 assists in this one for Ottawa.
And that's really impressive because he was one of the league leaders, one of the team leaders after the first 3 games. I know the team had struggled, but Carl's numbers looked fantastic. He had a +9 after 3 games, and that's pretty hard to do when the team is a -36.
Certainly.
Yeah.
Montreal with the disc now.
But you're going to always be a plus on the plus-minus thing. Whoa, looks like a big shove there upfield.
That was number 33, Yolande Cabot, the captain of Montreal, with a big push-off against number 22, Alec Arsenault.
Some frustration there. Like we said, Alec Arsenault has been really good on defense today, and he's caused some frustration for just a world-class talent with Cabot, and Cabot decided to push off on that play.
Ottawa gets the disc back. Scott Westwell. Great defensive play by Montreal. They come down and they score again.
It'll be a very quick point there on the transition from Montreal that pumps up the crowd quite a bit on the Montreal side here. Let's take a look at that turnover if we can get it. Yeah, that's just it's a fundamental play. And when you throw a backhand to the forehand side at this level against these players, that's the kind of thing that's going to happen. It's going to be a turnover. That has to be a forehand pass by Scott Westwell. The defense is able to make a big D on a disc that's spiraling towards them. And Nicholas Brochu with the goal. he's had a very strong game. There's been several players from Montreal that have really sort of stepped up in light of the fact that Cabot hasn't been his usual dominant self because he's getting all the tough matchups. Arsenault has been one of those Ottawa Outlaw players that's been given the task of frustrating Cabot, and as you saw in that last play, Arsenault has done the job.
Nick Brochu with the point. Ottawa and Montreal have traded points here in this fourth quarter. Another great defensive play there. Danny Desbiens-Allery, who's been used sparingly by the Royale tonight, gets the D.
Fantastic play on Mike Lee there. Not an easy guy to do.
Into the end zone. He's ruled out. The catch was made by Joe Genet, but he was ruled out of the end zone, so Ottawa.
We're seeing some emotion here in this game from both sides, and Montreal is fired up. Travel call has been made. Moving the disc back here. What a great defensive play on Mike Lee, not finishing that cut, and his defender just made a great play.
Carl Loiseau. Kinley G. Joe Genet right on him. Derek Alexander. Alexander for Mike Lee. He's got him. Lee about 10 yards out from his own goal line. Back for Alexander. Alexander down the right side for Paul Renault. Back inside for Lee for Alexander. And Mike Lee goes down in a collision, and they're calling for the training staff immediately. And that's number 9, Olivier Saint-Denis, concerned about Mike Lee, who went down heavily.
Well, Montreal has really picked up the defensive intensity here, and that was a bang-bang play that saw some serious contact. Mike Lee with the grab here, and
knee on knee.
Knee on knee, and probably could have been avoided by Montreal on that play. You just do not like to see that. Like we said, I know it's professional ultimate, but there is a spirit of the game on that, and if you can avoid those kinds of collisions, especially knee on knee, you do that. And luckily, it looks like Mike Lee's going to be okay. The trainer's going to check him on the sideline there. He's had such a good game. It'd be a shame if he had to come out right now.
Matthew Berg on in his stead. Berg lunges, and another turnover as Montreal looks to score once again.
Looks like a stall down on that, and Montreal quickly trying to move the disc on transition.
Little infraction there. They'll move the disc up 10 yards. Carl Loiseau making contact with Daigle. Here's Daigle. Moves that back. Mathieu. Christian Mathieu. Ayat had to go up for it. Ayat over the line. And Montreal gets another point. Joe Genet once again.
Push is on from Montreal here. Joe Genet has been very, very good in this game. Nice throw out to space. That is a tight throw out to space. Very good throw by Montreal. And the defense is really ratcheted up for Montreal here. They are trying to make one final push, and Ottawa needs to respond to that by getting back to this sort of fundamental, efficient offense that they displayed in the first 3 quarters.
The lead now 7. The last time Ottawa had a 7-point advantage was late in the second quarter. They led 17-10, and they made it 18-10 on a last-second puck that just fell into the arms of Mike Lee to give Ottawa an 8-point advantage heading into the room.
That's right, and so that we'll see whether or not that point becomes all important as we move along here. At one point in time, we didn't think that might be a factor, but Montreal continues to clamp it down defensively and try to make this a closer game.
Ottawa will take advantage of that Montreal infraction. Move the disc up 10. Way. The long huck goes deep. couple of Ottawa Outlaws went up for it, Matthew Berg and Carl Loiseau, but they couldn't bring it down, bring the huck from Keelan Way down, and a timeout called here by Montreal.
If you got to put the disc up to two players, even if it's a high floaty pass like that, Carl Loiseau and Matt Berg are the two guys you want to throw it up to. They couldn't come. Unfortunately, they neutralized one another on that play, but those are two excellent receivers. I know what Keelan was trying to do on that play.
I think I'd more like a Paul Renault, that kind of height going after one of those, too.
That's true, but time and time again, Berg and Loiseau always play above their height, and they have very good vertical and stuff. But Renault, as you mentioned, he's had such a good game today, and I hope that he'll be a little bit of a factor coming down the half here. The third quarter, he was a guy that they looked at a lot. It's kind of they've gone away a little bit from him. I don't know if it's a case of Montreal making some strategy decisions that affect whether or not he's open. But he was a guy that could be relied on earlier in the game, and maybe Ottawa will be able to use him as we get down to the stretch. If you're Montreal, you called the timeout, you got the offensive players on the field, it's go time. You got to make it happen, and the quicker you can do it, the better coming out of this timeout.
Montreal with possession. 7 minutes, 53 seconds left to go. Ottawa leads 26-19. Looking for their first victory of the 2016 AUDL regular season. Namur with Andy Corey right on him. Namur finds inside for Lepagnol. Antoine Lepagnol moves the disc up, finds a man. Long huck once again, and a good defensive play there by Nick Boucher. Boucher, he's going deep. Looking down, Keelan! No, it's number 16, Laurent Loiseau! With the long huck reception for the point, and Ottawa gets it back to 8.
Right now, it looks like it's going to be a nice drive home for the Loiseau brothers, talking about how this game went. Both of them have really stepped up. And Nick Boucher has really played well on the points that he's been on. Makes the big D and the big throw. And as you know, he's been one of the guys that Ottawa really counts on for those big pulls. Every time Boucher has been asked to provide a spark for this team, he's done it defensively and, on that case, offensively. Just fantastic play and a nice catch in the end zone by Laurent Loiseau.
Ottawa has led this one the entire way. And they now lead again by 8. But you know, Montreal is coming.
That's right, and they were so close on that play. That felt like a play that they needed to score on, but then you look at the clock, there's still 7 minutes to make stuff happen. A lot can happen with 7 minutes left in this quarter.
Quinlan looking for some movement, now needs some help. Montreal in tough. Daigle fires that one out for Joe Genet. Genet back into the middle. Namur couldn't handle it. Ottawa gets the turnover. And Renaud Namur very slow getting up.
He gave everything he had on that play. He was across the body layout. Wasn't able to come up with it, and unfortunately, he might have some serious turf bitter on that. Hopefully, it's just turf burn and it's not anything with regards to the legs or an injury of sort. Oh boy!
May have landed on his knee.
Yeah, did not. He knew he was in trouble as soon as he laid out. Called quickly for an injury substitution. He's getting it worked out on the sideline. These guys on both teams, they're tough. I mean, they can be on the field. They will be there, and they very rarely go down. It's one of the things I love about the game is.
Infraction against Kevin Quinlan, the former Rochester Dragon. Came to Montreal along with defensive specialist Dave Ferraro. Westwell for Nick Boucher. Boucher with the left-handed hammer, and that one intended for Matthew Berg goes incomplete, and Montreal will take over. Daigle gets the disc back. Daigle into the middle, great D there! Ottawa gets the point, Matthew Berg, after a great defensive play by Matt O'Brien.
Lovely, lovely defensive play. Just flat out layout, beautiful. Poster. Here's the pass into the end zone to Matt Berg. Matt Berg is really excellent in the end zone and a great layout D. I think it might have been Colin Froats with that defensive play. Looks like Mr. O'Brien, but Colin Froats, a veteran player, very, very good with the disc. And he's been tasked by playing defensive assignments here with the Ottawa Outlaws already having offensive guys that are really in sync right now. So Colin coming off the bench and playing some excellent defense there, making a great layout D. And Matt Berg in the end zone, he's been there. He's no stranger to the end zone. He's extremely good at it and makes a nice stationary cut and catches the disc in the end zone.
Here's the Ottawa pull. Right into the hands of the Royale. Saint Denis finds Jean-Lévis Champagne. Champagne. Parenteau looking deep. Saint Denis comes up with it, and the easy point into the hands of David Ferraro.
Ferraro with an excellent catch there. He's being asked to go out there on offense in order to give his team a spark. Usually he's a defensive dynamo. But look at that, he's just wide open on that play. And he makes an excellent grab after an excellent play by number 9, Oliver Saint Denis, who's had a number of tough catches in the air with a defender on his back. A lot of good individual performances in this game today, and but it is added up to an 8-point lead for the Outlaws, who are asking their offensive line to once again deliver the mail here with their concise offensive strategy that they've used. And not a lot of changes in terms of who's been going out there when the Outlaws need an offensive point, and why would it? It's been working all game.
The Outlaws led at 18-10 at halftime. So far in this second half, Steve, it's been much more even with the teams scoring 10 apiece to this point here in the second half.
That's right, and but unfortunately for Montreal, because of the first half that you had, you can't go shot for shot. You've got to start putting up back-to-back points here and there, and you know the clock is starting to tick, and we're getting close to the 5-minute mark remaining in the game.
Kinley G draws the infraction against Montreal's number 22, Christian Mathieu. Comes back for Keelan Way. Way for Derek Alexander. Alexander into the end zone, and it's good. Finds his brother Kenny, and Outlaws lead it by 9 again.
Brother love is strong in the nation's capital here on the Outlaws. We've had the Loiseau brothers been doing highlight reel things all game, and now Derek's able to thread the needle and make an excellent pass through the Montreal defenders to Ken, who knows exactly where his brother wants him to go and runs there and makes a nice grab. Excellent work on that offensive play for that very, very efficient and consistent offensive line, which has really been the story today.
Well, they've got Montreal now in a tough spot. They've got to provide tenacious defense, but they've also got to score and score quickly, trailing by 9 with just 3 ticks of the clock.
That's
over
right.
5 minutes remaining to play.
No room for errors now, and when they are on defense, we have noticed that the intensity has picked up a lot. But we also noticed that in the professional game, the refs do not mess around with those fouls. If there's fouls, it's going to be called, and Montreal's got to be wary of that.
Kevin Quinlan. Quinlan. Little flip to the far side. Cabot. For Nick Brochu. Brochu for Quinlan. Quinlan. Lepagnol looking into the end zone, and the easy grab there by number 86, Jean-Philippe Riopel, and Montreal made that point look easy.
Yes, once that bid effort by Ottawa on the sideline was unsuccessful, it was just kind of off to the races here. Nice quick throw, and Lepagnol, we talked about him in the pregame, That is a beautiful throw out to space, and a perfect run by Rio Pell at the end to grab it.
So now Ottawa will get the disc back with 4.5 left to go. Ottawa in good shape, leading by 8 here in their home opener from TD Place. Dan Mooney, Steve Traynor, Mike Nellis, and our entire Rogers TV crew, so happy you could join us on a beautiful night for Ultimate. Kinley G. Back for Alexander, Derek Alexander. Loiseau for Keelan Way. Inside, G. Mike Lee has it now. He's back after suffering a knee-on-knee collision about 5 minutes ago. Back out on the field for the first time since. Here's Loiseau. Carl Loiseau for Derek Alexander. Alexander looking deep, easy catch. Paul Renaud.
Renaud very quick to point back to Derek, saying, you made that happen. That was a fantastic play. Now, one of the things about being a high volume player and getting the disc a lot is that ups the amount of times that you're going to have turnovers. And for Derek in the first 3 games, he led the team in turnovers as well as leading in some other positive factors. But tonight, he's had high volume in terms of his involvement, and the amount of turnovers or negative plays that Derek has done has been extremely low. And he's just been counted on as a guy to get the disc every second or third time on offense. And his ability to go and whip out a hammer like that, throw it 40 yards down the field to a wide open Renaud is what makes him dangerous. Montreal says, do we play him deep? Do we play him in? What do we do? And that's the makings of a superstar player. So just a superstar performance from Derek here today, and a real nice rebound. And whereas the fortunes of Derek go up and down, so too do the Outlaws, based on the strategy that the Outlaws are using today.
Montreal perhaps trying to force something here to get something going, trailing by 9, 3:51 left to go. Give up the disc to the Ottawa Outlaws on a turnover. Westwell inside for Arsenault. Alec Arsenault, nice catch by Berg to keep the disc alive. Berg finds Nick Boucher. Boucher has his man, and he put it behind Alec Arsenault, who was breaking and was wide open.
Ottawa had everything they wanted on that play, but they just didn't execute on that.
Antoine Lepagnol finds it, and he'll find Nick Brochu for the easy point as Montreal cashes in on an Ottawa miscue.
It's been lots of great plays from Montreal, but they just have not been able to have the consistency on a point-to-point basis here. It was just another excellent point by Lepagnol. He's really come on in the fourth quarter. We didn't see him very much in the first or the second or the third, but he's making the deep cuts. He's making those deep catches, and then his continuation throws are just money here. It's just so easy to run that down on the transition. So what we'll need from Montreal here is they need to string together some points. We've got 3 minutes left here. They've made it an 8-point game. We need a great pull, and that first 7 seconds of defense needs to be the best that they've had all game, and they need to keep doing that as we get into crunch time here. This is one of the better pulls by far.
Derek Alexander starting out for the Outlaws. Alexander back up the middle for Mike Lee. He's got Renaud breaking. Can he get him the disc? An infraction there against Montreal. Number 15, Danny Desbiens-Allery, who certainly brought in for his defensive abilities right now for the Royale.
It's a real sign of respect that Mike Lee has that matchup, because Mike has been a real fixture for Ottawa's offense. Those continuation cuts have been great.
Keelan Way gets the disc back from Derek Alexander. Way for Ken Alexander, who's wide open. Ken Alexander now has Renaud looking deep. There's Derek Alexander. Tries to go with the backhand toss, spins away, pivots away from his man, gets it back to Kinley G. Kinley G inside. Mike Lee for Kinley G. Keelan Way. Mike Lee. Outlaws eating up a lot of the clock here on this. And they finally get it into the end zone. Kinley G scores on a wonderful pass from Derek Alexander.
And now Kinley G's holding the disc like it's a baby. There's no stop to the celebrations for this kid. Yeah, look at this. This is one of the sweeter celebrations we've seen tonight. But I just love that. I love the offense. I love the fact that when you can play keep away when you've got the lead, that's a sign of a truly good offense that's going to be good against a number of different defenses. And Montreal is, let's give Ottawa credit. They've been great tonight. Montreal hasn't had an answer for them. And whenever you can play keep away for a minute, just wind the clock down like that, it's good strategy by John Haig and the Outlaws team. And I really enjoyed watching Keelan Way play on that play. He's just such a great cutter, keeps the disc alive, good continuation. He's just done a number of great things in his game, and that's consistent with the way he's been playing for the last 10 years.
Well, you certainly have your work cut out for you, Steve Traynor, in selecting your Kunstad Sports Player of the Game.
Very daunting. You know, it would be great if we could pick a number of different players. It's been one of those kinds of games, and both teams have been quite solid, and there's been some good performances from both teams.
Lepagnol moves that one in for Francois Xavier Hutt. And number 13, Andy Corey, down. And favoring his right leg, he'll go off under his own power.
What a job Andy's done today, playing defense, being one of the anchors on defense, and just exceptional pulls. Him and Nick Boucher have really, really given Ottawa an advantage in this game over Montreal.
Nick Boucher out there in the stead of Andy Corey. Long pull, in for the point, Kevin Quinlan. And a frustrated celebration by Quinlan.
He's been frustrated. He's really wanted to win this game. He came amped up. He's played a very good game. He had a very good first half, and things just haven't worked, unfortunately, for Montreal as they would like. This is a great break throw by Lepagnol. That's just an example of a great, talented player. Ottawa did not want to let that throw out. That's the one throw that they were trying to prevent, and Lepagnol still got it out there to space. No chance for the Ottawa defender upfield in terms of stopping the receiver. I think the fans here can definitely go home happy with the offensive display that's been given by both teams. Lots of scoring for both teams tonight. And I think 31 points might be one of the highest that the Outlaws have ever put up. And good timing to do it in their home opener in their second season.
13-13 in the second half. So both teams playing each other rather evenly. Here's Paul Renaud. Can he go up and get it? No, good D there by Montreal. That was number 15, Danny Desbiens-Allery, once again getting in the way and knocking the disc away from Paul Renaud. Long huck for Andre Arsenault, and he grabs it. He comes down with it for the point. Must have been a 60-yard huck.
That was incredible. That was a great grab in the end zone and great put. I mean, we're looking at as minimum 60-yard. We could be in close to the 70 range. Just great backhand throw here by number 9, Oliver St. Denis. He's had a number of good offensive and defensive plays. He catches, he throws, he's got some skills. And Arsenault, good to see him get on the board. He's one of the young, exciting players for the Montreal Royale. He's had some very tough matchups tonight. He's been asked to play one-on-one with Derek Alexander. And so nice to see him go out there and run that down. He gets to stay on for another point here. Hopefully he's got enough gas in the tank to finish off this game here and this point.
First time since the 3:27 mark that Montreal has scored 2 points in a row here in this fourth quarter.
And that's really kudos to the Ottawa offense. Every time The defense has bent a little bit. The Ottawa offense has been able to come out and shut the door. It's a sign of a good line, and they'll be looking to continue this at their next game and get right back into the playoff picture. Is what the goal is this season, is for Ottawa to get into the playoffs. Only 3 teams can come out of this division, and they want to be one of those teams.
Westwell. For Derek Alexander. As the Outlaws try to kill off the clock. Nice leap by Alec Arsenault, and there's another turnover. Montreal looking to score before the end of this one. 10 seconds left on the clock. Francis Breton gets it out. Christian Mathieu looking deep. That'll go into the hands of Ken Alexander, and the Ottawa Outlaws have won their home opener here at TD Place by a score of 31-24.
First-class win in a first-class location. Just a great game. The fans are extremely happy that there's no one has left this game. They want to stick around and show their appreciation for not only the home team, the Ottawa Outlaws, but a great game by the Montreal Royale. They played a great road game here, coming all the way from Montreal and playing a great game. Lots for them to learn from this game. Still have not had a chance to beat Ottawa. 0-4 going into last season in terms of the head-to-head matchup, and they'll be looking to break that streak whenever Ottawa comes and visits in Montreal soon.
How important is this victory for the Ottawa Outlaws as they move on into the season after coming off 3 consecutive road losses?
Well, when we talked to the insiders with the Outlaws, we didn't want to say it before the game, but it was a crucial win for them. When you get off to an 0-3 start, that next win is very important, because starting off 0-4 in a 16-week season really puts you behind the 8 ball, being one of those 3 teams that makes it to the playoffs. This win was huge. The way that they won the game was huge, and there was some great players and great plays that were here that they can build off of.
And the 1,000+ fans here at TD Place to witness this one in person are going away happy.
They'll remember this one. They'll remember the first time that Ottawa Outlaws played in this beautiful field. They have a wonderful venue out of Carleton, but this is the first time they got to play under the big lights, and this is just a great experience. Hopefully people will remember this and continue to come out and support the team as the season goes along. So
let's talk about the Montreal Royale, now 0-4 against the Ottawa Outlaws in the history, both of their histories in the American Ultimate Disc League.
It's hard to believe because the teams are so evenly matched. Obviously, Montreal will have a lot of fans. They average sometimes close to 2,500 fans, so they'll be looking to break that snide. And I can tell you that the Montreal fans will be in full force, doing everything they can to help break that streak. But it's some good bragging rights for Ottawa, and I think they deserve it.
All right, let's go down to field level. Mike Nell is standing by with our player of the game, Derek Alexander.
Thanks, Dan. Here with Derek Alexander post-game after a big win for you guys in this home opening game. Derek, what's going through your mind after that one?
Just a little bit of relief, to tell you the truth. We've had a bit of a shaky start to the season, but we had a game plan coming into this one. We knew some of the matchups, and we did a good job of sticking to our game plan, and just thankful for the outcome.
And how big is it as well to get that first win of the season at home?
Huge. It was amazing out here in front of these fans. Probably couldn't, probably they were good for at least 5-6 points for us, keeping our momentum into the game and encouraging us the whole way. So, amazing. Great start for us.
You guys put up over 30 points today. What was the secret behind the offense?
Patience this game. I think before we were forcing a lot of our deep shots unnecessarily because we had tired legs and weren't cutting. So I think the adjustments we made where we were cutting a lot harder and being more patient with our throws.
Lastly, where do you go from here after beating Montreal? You get that first win. Is it a bit of a monkey off the back?
Absolutely, it is. We know we match up well with these guys, but we're going to use this one as build some confidence moving forward. Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks a lot, Derek.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
That's Derek Alexander, the player of the game for the Ottawa Outlaws, in a big win against the Montreal Royale in their first game here at home at TD Place of the 2016 AUDL season. That'll do it for us and this broadcast. For Dan Mooney and Steve Trainer upstairs, our entire Rogers TV crew, my name is Mike Nellis, and we thank you for joining us here on Rogers TV. We'll see you next time.